I'm Russ Kickle, and on this episode of American Reef, we're going to be talking freshwater planted tanks. So this is going to be one of many videos from American Reef on freshwater planted tanks. I think I'm going to call this new series American Reef Fresh. And I don't know how long that title is going to last, but for today, that's the title that I'm using. So in this episode of American Reef Fresh, we're heading over to SanJay Yoshi's house, and we're going to see how he keeps and maintains his freshwater planted tank. Now for me, these whole videos came about because about 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, Mike set up that planted tank, and it reminded me of how beautiful and relaxing these planted tanks can actually be. So at that point in time, I figured, hey, I'm going to start up a planted tank, and why not produce some videos? And that way we can help others learn the do's and don'ts of keeping and maintaining a freshwater planted tank. Now again, for today's video, about, I'll say 1.5 months, 2 months ago, Mike was heading over to SanJay's, and luckily enough, I was able to, again, tag along and have that kind of Q&A session for basically how SanJay and Mike keep their freshwater planted tanks. Now this tank that we're going to look at from SanJay today is about 3 years old, and you'll see it's beautiful, right? One of the most interesting things for me in this video, right, is the effort that he takes to keep this beautiful freshwater planted tank, because it's kind of the recipe that I'm looking for, meaning I want to do the minimal amount of work as possible to keep a beautiful tank. And again, he kind of follows that that line. And so again, when you're looking at this video, you want to kind of keep that in your back of your mind if you're interested in setting up a planted tank. A quick message before we head on over to SanJay's. If you are the owner of a small family-owned type of business and you are proud of the goods and services that you offer, and those goods and services can be kind of offered and delivered through the internet, drop me an email. That's AmericanReef@me.com. My goal is simple. I want to try to help promote these small family-owned type of businesses and give them some national exposure. So again, if you fall in that category, just drop me an email at AmericanReef@me.com. Now let's check out what Mike and SanJay have to say about their freshwater planted tanks.
Today we're talking about something a little bit different. We're talking about SanJay's plant tank. Now, as I discussed probably 6 months ago when I set up my plant tank, reefers get bored every now and then, always need a new challenge, always need something interesting to do. And in this regard, SanJay has set up this beautiful plant tank. Now, how long has this plant tank been up?
About 3 years.
Yeah.
Been running for 3 years.
And originally it was a discus tank?
Yeah, I had discus in here for about 1 year. And I got kind of bored with the discus.
No, they don't really do anything.
Don't say that.
They sit there like this and don't do anything.
So I did get bored with the discus, and then they got to the point where they were struggling a little bit, so I kind of got rid of the discus and had this beautiful tank sitting there, and I said, you know what, I'll just make it into a planted tank. And went ahead and planted this tank up with some aquascape in mind. And pretty soon I found that that was not a good choice because the plants were growing way too fast. This tank became a little more work than my reef tank.
Yeah, SanJay grows everything quick, so he grows plants even faster than he grows corals. And we know how fast he grows corals. Now, how big is this tank?
This is a 24-inch cube, so it's about 60 gallons.
Yeah. Okay.
It used to be a reef tank at one point in its life.
Now, why didn't you do the discus and the planted tank? In other words, the combination of both, even though the acidity and pH are different.
People told me it would be more difficult. And plus, there's not much space left for discus to swim around. And when you get dense plant growth like this,
Sure.
tank's a little too small for discus.
Yeah. And you have the overflow in the back like a typical reef tank, so you can utilize that for some of the things that we do. Like you said, when you do water changes, all you do is drain it out the back of the overflow,
Right.
pump water back in, right out of tap water.
Yeah, I don't even pump it in. It's actually teed off right off my water main line. I have a little faucet here. I just open the faucet, let it drip. That way there's no drastic change.
Right.
And I'll let it drip for about a day and a half, or 2 days. And that's my water change.
And
You
how
do
much?
the same thing when you're adding water for make up for evaporation, or is there an automatic?
No, I mean,
overflow?
I do this every once a week at least.
You add water
So
to
I
it?
don't worry about evaporation at all.
Oh, okay.
And how much water do you think it's kind of changed out approximately?
I think it changes out about 20 gallons.
Okay.
So you're doing about 30% of the tank every week.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you basically have to add fertilizers, and I don't measure. I just kind of put the fertilizer in.
It's
Well, which
high-tech.
fertilizer? I'm sure you're doing
I
iron.
make my own fertilizer.
Yeah.
So I make my own iron chelate mix
Right.
and trace element mix, and I make my own mix with nitrates, phosphates, and so that's the other part of it.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so now when you say you make your own, like,
I buy the chemicals and I mix them.
okay, and
Okay,
like
what-
buying. Go ahead.
Yeah, where did you get the formulas for how
Yeah.
much you mix up and how much you add?
Yeah, there's a formula. The method that I'm using is what they call the estimative index.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So basically, the idea there is they have a little website you can go to.
Mhm.
They tell you what to add, what approximately to add, and how frequently you add it.
Right.
And you just go ahead and add it, and don't have to measure the levels of any of the chemicals. And that's part of the reason why you do a slightly bigger water change,
Right.
because things might accumulate and you just dilute them out.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
And it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have some gorgeous plants in here between the Bucephalandria.
Yeah.
You have two different species of that in here. You have some Blixia japonica, which is a difficult plant to grow for some people. You have the water lily,
Right.
Java fern, and some beautiful crypts in the back that grow all the way to the surface, and you have to harvest them all the time.
Yeah, but they're not that fast growing, so I'm not harvesting any of these plants very frequently.
Yeah.
That was my whole idea, was
Right.
to have this tank be a low maintenance tank.
Right.
And if you have fast growing plants, stem plants for example, I mean they would grow inches in
Per
2
day,
days,
yeah.
So you're trimming them all the time and so on, and I kind of got away from that. So I've moved slowly towards all slow growing plants.
So now define slow growing.
Well, I mean they're not they're not growing inches per day.
So would that be inches per month or inches per week?
Yeah,
Inches
no,
per
they're not
quarter.
still growing inches per month either.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
inches
You
per
know.
quarter.
Okay.
So every 2-3 months I have to go in and trim it.
Okay, perfect.
So I can get by with that much trimming.
Yeah, so that's
And
not a lot of work.
again, I kind of like the look of what jungle tank is what I
Yes.
call them, where they're
Yeah.
overgrown.
Yes.
They have some amount of aquascaping, but the aquascaping basically evolves over time and
Right.
takes over. It's not like one of those nature tanks where everything.
It's not an
is
Amano-based
trim- Yeah,
tank.
everything is
Yeah.
prim and proper.
So you
in
don't have
the
the little
right
scissors
place.
to trim stuff every day.
No, I don't.
And now, Mike, on yours, right? You're doing a lot of trimming now.
I'm
right?
thinning more and more of the
hold on,
stem
hold on.
plants.
He's learning. He's learning from me.
It's it's just gotten to be where I do more work on that tank than I do on my other 5 tanks. So
Right.
as you get smarter, as SanJay has gotten smarter, he realizes you want to observe this and have fun with it rather than be working on it.
Right.
So that's why he does a really easy water change system and plants that are easier to maintain. And he has a lot of rasboras and barbs and fish that don't require as much effort as like tetras do. So he's gotten to the point where this is a nice tank to look at and relax and enjoy. Because that's one of the benefits I found with a freshwater tank. You can walk up, the fish aren't zipping away like you're a
Right.
shark ready to eat them.
Right.
And it's so
Or
different
coming
than a
up
reef
to your
tank.
hand every time like you're gonna feed them.
Yeah.
Right.
Begging for food.
Yeah, they're much more docile, for lack of a better term. So it's a much more relaxing tank. I mean, that's why I have one in my kitchen, as you've seen. And he has one when you walk down the step into his fish room. This is the first thing you see, and it's relaxing. It automatically puts you in a relaxed state of mind. Now, this is a reef light as well. It's an LED.
Yeah, these are LED strips from Current USA,
Okay.
Ecozotic.
Okay.
This tank is also an Ecozotic tank. I mean, it's their cabinets in their tank.
Oh,
That's
this is
what it
their
was.
cabinet as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this was their reef tank, and This was their lighting hood and designed to accommodate multiple strips.
And now, what's the general spectrum on the lights?
They look like all white.
Basically, they're a mix of mostly white,
Mm-hmm.
warm white, as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got one strip with a little bit of red in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you like the? I mean, do you think the red helps with the growth? Or
It helps with the look of the tank. It helps with the may help with the growth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically for planted tanks, we're looking at full spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
warm lights, as opposed to going more blue.
Yeah.
as he's looking at my
Exactly.
blue.
I don't have blue on this part of my tank. It's the only non-blue tank in my house. Now you only have relatively simple.
Yeah, all
filtration
it
here.
runs is one marine land filter, and that's it. That's the only filtration on
And a
it.
heater keeps it at 76.
The
and
heater is
that's pretty much
keeping it at whatever temperature. Usually, in the summertime, it'll get to about 76, and winter it'll drop to 74 or 72.
Now, in the filter canister filter, is it just filter floss carbon, or do you do
Or is
something
it the bio
different?
balls, filter floss, carbon?
Yeah, whatever little tray. They have four trays
trays.
in there,
Okay.
and whatever media is in the four trays. It's basically that's what I'm.
Now, how often
Okay.
are you changing that out?
I can't tell you on TV.
So not very often. Yeah,
It's not very often. I would say once in 6 months I might go in and clean it out.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That's impressive because I was cleaning mine out once a month.
No,
and it was
no.
Black and full of.
No, it's
dust.
probably black and full of junk, but you know, it's the tank's pretty stable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have a lot of really nice small little fish in here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the big waste producing fish that we typically keep. So
Especially-
it's
yep.
so you don't even have to probably feed very often in here because of how small
No,
they
I
all
feed
are.
them once a day.
Now you said you've also tried to keep shrimp in here, but they haven't done that well.
Yeah, for some reason the shrimp have never been successful.
No?
I've tried several different shrimp, and I always end up losing them over
Yeah.
time. When I first put them in, they'll spawn even. There'll be babies shrimp around, but within a few months they'll be all gone. I'm not sure what the reason is. People keep telling me that shouldn't be the case.
Right, but
I
it
guess
is.
it is.
Yeah.
And now, Mike, you don't have shrimp in yours, right?
No, I had the same
Same
phenomenon
thing?
happen.
Okay.
They did well. There were babies. Everything was good. But I also have two big angelfish in there now, so I know that probably
Yeah, that
took out a lot.
I don't have any big
Yeah.
fish.
Right.
No, they've started off
Yeah.
as small angelfish,
Other
but in
than
the
those-
course of a year, they've gotten to be this big, and now they're pairing up, and now they're a lot more aggressive. So eventually they'll be gone, and there'll be new little angelfish put in.
Do you think it has anything to do with the water quality, meaning it's too clean? Because usually, don't shrimp usually kind
I
of...
don't know. I mean, I've never kept shrimp, and
You have to feed them.
you know, every time I go and search
Right.
for information, everybody tells me how easy they are to keep.
Right.
Yeah.
But somehow it doesn't seem to want to work with me. I'm wondering if it's the fact that I'm adding chemicals to the tank, if that has anything to do with it.
Mhm.
But I'm not really overdosing chemicals.
Right,
you know.
right.
And I don't know, maybe the shrimp are just happier with tanks by themselves.
Yeah, because you have that mono-specific, everybody talks about, oh, a shrimp tank, and you're kind of like, oh, it's a shrimp tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
One
actually,
shrimp.
as I told you driving up, one of the things I'm setting up is the sump is going to be my shrimp tank.
Right.
And the shrimp are going to be in there, and the other fish are going to be in here. I'm going to see if it works according to what Ling has said, that
Yes.
shrimp do well in the mud with plants down there. So
There, maybe that has something to do with it, you know. But,
Yeah, no.
but that much density of plants, they have a lot of space to hide, so fish are not really bothering them.
Right.
yeah, and the fish
You
you
know,
don't
and
really
with
have
that
any
much
aggressive fish.
Vegetation here, I'm sure they can find stuff to eat,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the reasons are.
Now, what kind of substrate do you have on the bottom? Do you remember?
Yeah, this is the mix of the Carib Seas substrate
Mm-hmm.
and the one from Fluval.
Yes. I know the bag you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the kind that you got,
Yeah,
right?
that's the kind I got.
So it's a mix of both.
Yeah, you didn't add any extra laterite or any other
No,
mineral
I
material
did
to
not
it?
add anything else to it.
Now, do you put any plant tabs or anything else to fertilize the plants?
No, I don't really want them to grow any faster. So,
That's right, no growth. You like color. That's right.
so I'm happy with the growth rate now, and I don't need to force anything.
Now, what are
Yeah.
some of the fish that you have in here?
These guys here with the red face there,
Yep.
those are the Asian rummy nose.
Right.
They're different from the South American rummy nose. They tend to have like bluish shade and red nose.
Right.
There's some females and males. These little loaches here, these are the rosy loaches. I love those fish.
Yeah.
I got about 8 or 10 of those.
And you
There's
also
some
Denios.
those celestial Danios, yeah. I think they call them celestial Danios.
Yeah. And what are these little gray fish?
These are some of the females of the
Oh, of the rummy nose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is
4 or 6 of the.
there's 4 of those
pencilfish.
Siamese algae eaters in
Okay.
there. And there were 4 of these pencilfish. These are the coral pencilfish.
The Mortenthaleri.
And they're one of my favorite fish. Really bright red.
The one that it's over in the back right corner?
Yeah, it's gone in the
Okay.
back now. There were 4 in here. I don't know if there's still 4 in here or not. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I know there's 2 males for sure in here. There's 1 female. The other female may have disappeared.
Yeah, they are beautiful fish.
Yeah, they get much redder when they're courting. Might
Really?
come out if I put some food. And drop stuff.
So
It
now,
might come out.
what do you feed?
It's pellet food.
Just regular pellet food?
Yeah.
So nothing
Yeah,
special?
just I like pellet food.
And how many times a day do you feed?
Probably once a day. Well, come on, they'll eat. Yeah, they're not like my saltwater fish would be out there devouring. the
Right,
food.
exactly.
You know, they kind of come, they eat, they mosey along, and
Although what's funny though is like on your tank, Mike, right? The personality is a little different because when
you have bigger fish.
Yeah, I have bigger
Right.
fish.
So the size is more.
Yeah, they're more aggressive. Although his Siamese Siamese algae eaters all came out when the food came out.
Yeah, they
were
come
hiding
out. Yeah, they
before.
come out.
And now, as far as the plants that are floating on the top, what are they?
Yeah, it's just some floating plants I put in there just for.
Looks like water sprite.
This is water sprite, and I just keep trimming this one. This is the one that requires the most trimming. I just break off one leaf and throw the rest of the plant away.
No.
There's some of these guys here. I forget what it's called, and there's little floating duckweeds.
And do you have to worry about when you adding or doing your water changes as far as this clogging up the overflow at all?
No, it's happening so slowly.
Uh,
It's not like water is rushing through the overflow.
That's true.
It's just a drip,
Mhm.
and it just drains out slowly.
So you're only using the overflow for water changes. You're not using it for feeding your pump or anything else.
No.
Which
it's
is
just doing
awesome
the
if you
water
have that.
change.
That's such a great idea.
Yeah, I did that for my discus tank.
Yeah, because
discus need a lot of water change.
Yeah.
And so I did that for the discus tank, and I kind of liked it because I wasn't doing much water change. I'm not
Yes.
carrying buckets
Right.
from my
Yeah, which I hate doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm going to the system I'm going
Yeah.
to. And hope I only have to do 1 water change a month instead of weekly,
Right.
which we will see.
And dripping it slowly helps. That way, if there's any contamination in the water, like chloramine or something,
Yeah.
it dissipates away if you do it slowly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we've learned with reef tanks, everything good happens slow. So take your time, be patient,
Yeah. In the beginning, you want to put fast-growing plants. Get the tank.
because you don't want the
established
algae to
quick.
take off.
You don't want the algae to take over.
But then that
And
comes.
then I slowly just started cutting back on the fast-growing plants.
Yes.
Yeah.
putting a fair amount of light, and you're putting the nutrients that they like, and
There's
you have a
not
good
that
substrate.
much light in here. I mean, this is only 60 watts of light.
Oh, okay.
Each strip is 12 watts.
12 watts.
So you got 5 strips that are on right now.
Right.
That's about 60 watts.
How long do you keep them on?
It came on at 10 o'clock,
Mhm.
11 o'clock. It'll probably go off at around 10 o'clock.
Okay.
11
11
hours.
hours a day.
11 hours a day.
Yeah, and there's very little algae anywhere in the tank. I mean, you have to clean the glass once a week or so, but
Yeah.
nothing. It's
Yeah, I
not
mean-
like a reef tank that gets
I mean, these
covered.
are slow-growing plants, so that's one of the problems with slow-growing plants. The leaves around for a long time,
Mhm.
and the older leaves will get algae on them.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
even these, you see very little.
But there's not. It's not that much. You know. It's natural, so
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, yeah. And now, as far as you're running CO2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't have a planter tank like this without CO2. It'd be very hard.
I'm gonna try.
You're gonna put.
I'm trying Ling's method because Ling's like, oh no, you can do it. I'm like, okay, well, I'll give
Well,
it a
you
try.
can. I mean, there are people doing it without CO2.
Right, but it doesn't
But
look
you know,
flush and
it's
colorful.
not going to be that lush of a growth.
Yeah.
Even a little bit of CO2 helps.
Yeah.
I remember way back when I used to run East bottles and make my own
yes.
CO2. Yeah.
Yeah, now we buy the 5-pound
And
plastic
Sugar
ones.
water.
Okay, and so
Now I get this 5-pound, 10-pound bottle that lasts me for a year.
right,
Yeah, that's what
So
mine
it's very
lasts with.
convenient.
right.
Yeah.
Because when you were doing your yeast bottles, how often that was like a weekly?
Yeah,
thing?
every week you were changing those bottles out, and it got
Yeah.
old very quickly.
Now, do you have a glass diffuser, or how are you putting it the CO2?
I actually have a little pump in there, a little Tunzi pump
Oh, okay.
that is I inject it in the bottom of that,
Right.
and it breaks up the air bubbles and pushes the water out. So that really helps. I
Mhm.
mean, it's
Yeah,
actually
that's a little. That's
it's
a different
more
system than I've
efficient.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's more efficient than just bubbling the CO2 in there, because it stays trapped in there, right?
Right. So
until
it dissolves into the water.
It dissolves
rather than-
into the water eventually.
Yeah, that's why you only have to change the bottle once a year because it's
Yeah.
so efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on yours,
This
my,
is why being an engineer pays off in designing this kind of
I was
stuff.
going to say, on yours, why didn't you kind of go that route?
I tried to run it in a diffuser, but the pump was too weak, and it wasn't pushing it through.
No, this is a Tunzi pump designed to
Yeah,
do
this
that.
is this
Right.
is a special Tunzi
It's a special
CO2.
CO2 diffuser pump or whatever you want.
There you go. This is something I need to
Yeah.
add onto my tank
Yeah.
to make my life easier
They're
and more
nice.
efficient. Yeah.
It's pretty efficient. You know, you're injecting into that tube, so you can see the
Yeah, down at the bottom.
Yeah, you
And
can
a few
see
bubbles at the top, but then
Yeah, and it's about one bubble every minute or so. Not even a minute.
oh, you're doing just one bubble per minute.
I mean, you can see the rate. It's not a minute. I would say it's like one bubble every 3-4 seconds. So it's
Okay.
not, you know, it's not
Yeah, so that is much more efficient. Mine, I'm running one bubble per second
No,
because it's not as efficient as this.
No, it's slower than that.
So it sounds like
And I could cut it
Sounds
back
like
even.
we have to talk to my
Sounds-
friends at Tunze to
that's
get
right.
a
Sounds
Tunze
like
CO2
that's
diffuser.
right. Luckily, I know a guy.
Yeah. This is why Tunze's been in business for 50 years.
Yeah,
they make
heck
things
yeah.
more efficient and more easier
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
aquarist.
You know, it's good. Again, like I said, I like to make things as easy as possible for myself.
Sure.
Yeah, and if we can make it easier for other hobbyists, that's the whole point of doing these is
Mm-hmm.
show you what we've done
Yeah, yeah.
and get an idea.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I mix up a bottle of the fertilizer, and it lasts me for a month or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, did we say how much you dose it or how much you put in?
Yeah, it's just basically 2 capfuls of this
Okay.
So about 10
every
milliliters.
other day.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
And do you find out if you give it more, like it grows faster or algae grows faster? Or, I mean, in other words, is there a way that you can tell that, I better cut back a little bit on your estimate of.
yeah, but just following what they kind of said, and it seems to work well.
Okay.
You know, I mean, like I've said, I've never tested any parameters on this tank.
That's awesome.
You know.
You've never tested
That
No.
is awesome.
No.
never tested pH,
No,
hardness, nothing.
nothing. No.
See, that's.
I want to keep it as simple as I can.
Yes,
Yeah, that's as
exactly.
simple as you can when you
Yeah.
test nothing.
So I kind of I'm not going to fight the system.
Right.
Well, then the
That's
question
my
is,
whole
how
goal.
long did it take for you to get to where you think it was at equilibrium, where everything was balanced and doing fine?
Within a few months you're there.
Okay, like 3 or 4 months, you were.
Yeah.
It was set,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you never had an algae outbreak or any major problems. Like
No, I
that.
don't have any major algae outbreak. I mean, like I said, I still get algae on the older leaves because these leaves.
Yeah, but you've never had the thread algae or the
No.
the
no,
stuff
no,
that
no.
is
Right.
just impossible to get rid of once
No,
you get it.
never had that.
Yeah. I think that's more introduction. If you put it in,
Yeah, I think the key is you populate with plants right away very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
with lots of plants that grow fast,
Mm-hmm.
and reach a steady state with that, and then you can slowly start replacing the plants, which is what I did.
And they're easier than like when you have a saltwater tank when you throw in damsels and you can't get them out. So here you can
Right.
easily get your plants out.
Yeah, plants are easy to get out.
and how old
I
are
mean,
most
I
of
was
the fish
removing.
in the tank? Since the plants are 3 years,
A lot of these fish are since I set up the tank, so it's
So
about 3 years
2 to
old.
3 years old,
Yeah.
which is great for these
Yeah.
fish because they're little and they typically don't live that long.
Right, right.
They're doing fine.
I just love the fact that never have you measured any kind of parameter. I love it. That's
No.
my world. I
No,
love-
I
and
mean-
you're
No,
using so you're using your eyes, in other words, right? In other words, you're saying if it doesn't look healthy or if it's looking thin or straggly, I'm doing something wrong. Or how do you? There's got to be some sort of gauge that you're using mentally, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see the plants. If they're growing well, I mean, things are fine. That's
Right.
kind of my gauge.
Sure.
You know, there's some plants I struggle with, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not changing the system for those plants.
Right. You're saying which plants you're doing
Yeah, I
survival
do.
best.
I do
With
what
this
I do with
one.
my reef. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
if you're happy with my system, I'll keep you.
The strongest
If you're
survive.
not happy, you can leave on your own.
right? Natural selection. I
Now,
love
most
it.
people that keep tanks long term always think of things they should have done differently or would do differently. This tank pretty much seems perfect.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
is there anything you would change on it or do differently?
Not really. The only thing I would change is I would organize my wires a little bit better.
Yeah.
I kind of just hung them there. Should have hit them a little bit better. And
Well, you
done
can
it
still put
better.
them over
I
the
can
back
still,
and down.
I can still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all the of all the items, that's
Yeah, that's
minuscule, right?
Yeah, that's a very minute problem to
I've
have.
never had anybody look at this tank and say, "Oh, I hate the way your tank."
I
looks,"
know, 'cause
because
your
of
eyes-
those wires.
that's right.
Because no, your eyes never go to those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would,
If you're looking at the wires, you messed up. Everything's dead in here.
That's exactly it. And what about now, as far as kind of, would you go with a bigger tank if you had the room and size, or
For
do you
a
like that
freshwater
size?
tank?
Yeah.
No, this is a good size for me.
So you,
I'm happy with this
like
size.
that's 60 gallon.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
few
24
fish,
inch cube's perfect.
few fish in there, and
Mhm.
you basically.
Well, how many fish do you think you have in here?
Oh, I don't know.
30, 40, 50?
I would say close to 30.
Okay.
Mhm.
You've had more and had less and just sort of stabilized?
Yeah, they're stabilized. So they've stabilized. Problem again with this tank is when fish die, I can't see them.
Sure.
They're
Yeah.
gone.
So
They're
you've not
hiding.
had massive dives where
No.
they're all at the top. It's one dies and it's gone. and
I had
you don't
massive
notice
die off once. Had a massive die off once, and that was again. I think the people for the water system must have changed the amount of chloramine or something
Ah,
they had in
okay.
there. And I was experimenting with how much water flow, and I said, I'm letting it run for 2 days, and said, let me just speed it up and let it run for half a day,
Mm-hmm.
and I did kill
Okay.
fish. But this was early on.
Yeah.
But the plant survived. It was the fish that all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I learned, I said, okay, I got to, it works if you drip it slowly. If you move it too fast
Right.
and they mess up, then there's a problem.
And when you do it's a drip every second kind of thing, or how
No,
do
a
you do
little
it?
faster than that.
Okay.
It's actually, I would say it's a slow trickle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to get on yours, Mike.
Yep.
yeah.
No, I have potential to do that.
Although, but you have your blend of water though is makes it tougher for you because you're using RO.
I can go with tap water right
What's
out
your
of
tap water coming in?
The only thing it seems to have in it is a little bit amount of lead, but I could run it through carbon and probably a heavy metal.
I mean, how much lead does it have?
They just sent me the sheet. I didn't, and that was the only chemical that was of any kind of significance.
So you like Detroit water?
No, we're not quite Detroit. No, we don't have that many heavy metals.
Flint,
In
Flint.
Western
That's right.
Pennsylvania, in
Flint
Western
water.
PA. No, not that many heavy metals, but I could run it through a heavy metal chamber. I mean, that wouldn't be a big deal. The main problem would be draining it, getting the drain to work right to the drain.
See, this is the nice thing about having a
Right
reef
out to the
tank.
deck, maybe.
Nah, we're not doing that.
Come on, I can do a little dry.
That'd be-
I got a power tool.
This drain here runs from here all the way along the basement wall, all the way along the other basement wall, and then goes to the drain. So it's a
Right.
long run.
Yeah,
right?
but it's dropping 4 or 5 feet. So
Yeah, but it's.
And you don't have any issues with like algae building up in the line itself?
I can't see it.
So
no, you're
not
using,
yet.
you're using
I
the
mean,
blue
it's-
line
it's
or,
dark.
or the white.
The drain.
Solid white
The drain's a
drain line?
1/2 inch PVC. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can kind of see it running through the back there,
Yeah.
through the wall.
Okay. So yeah, you don't.
So it's a hard PVC, not the flexible.
Right, it's the hard PVC.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not going to get plugged up.
Yeah.
Like the small
See-
lines would. So.
Back to your tank. You know, pop a little inch hole right out that back fork.
No, but then when I sell the house, I have to plug up the hole going outside. So it's a
Yeah.
whole different thing. Why are these holes going outside? So no,
That's right.
we'll have to figure out another way to do it.
Yeah.
We could actually probably drain it into the dishwasher drain,
There you go.
Yeah.
You could do that.
which is right
Yeah,
beside
put a
it.
wire right beside it.
We could do that.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I need more projects. That's what I need. I don't have enough projects. Well, we're going to try this no change
Any
stuff
project
and
that
see.
makes your life easy is a project worth doing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I've switched over to this mud system on my tank. We'll see how that goes, and if that makes my life easier, then we can do the drain.
So what's your
quick
goal
drain.
with that mud system? Not add fertilizer?
Add less fertilizer. Don't have a canister filter anymore. Just have a mud filter with low growing plants on the bottom. I'm going to try and grow shrimp in there. All the waste goes through bio balls, then across the mud and the plants, and then pump back up into the tank.
I mean, I don't even think I need the filter on this tank.
Really?
It was there because of the discus tank,
Sure.
right? But now I look at it and I go, I don't think this tank needs a filter even.
Well, it also gets you some water motion
I
too,
mean,
though.
yeah, but that I could get with a power head.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think the filter is really going to do much. I mean, if mud settles here, that's actually not bad.
Right.
I'm kind of a guy who likes this natural look
Yeah.
of the plants. People are actually adding leaves and tannins to their
Oh
tanks.
yeah, the almond leaves.
So, you know, might as well let this all
Right.
do that
Yeah.
for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I know the other thing that I guess Brian had mentioned about the mud is the magnesium content in it. I guess is elevated and it really boosts the plants. Whatever that, I'm not sure.
We're going to see. I just changed this over last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
That's right.
We will see what it does. I'm still in the process of moving the plants from up top down below. It's all. I'm taking this as gradually as I can because it's just there's no reason to rush anything because everything pretty much is doing well.
And I guess so on this tank for you to kind of wrap it up. Any future plans? You're just going to kind of let it.
No, the future plans is to add a few more fish, which if I can ever find them.
Yeah,
What kind of
I
fish?
can find them.
we keep trying to find the
It's
odd
just that the
pencil fish.
yeah, the shipping just seems to be way too much to pay for a $3 fish or $10.
Well, it's an
fish.
11. It's a
It's a $10.
it's a $10 fish, but
Okay, hold on. So you guys know that this show is seen by tens of thousands of people.
yes.
Be specific on what you
We're looking
want.
for Nanostomus mortenthaleri.
Morton Tellerai.
Okay.
Either the purple pencil fish or the red.
No,
pencil
I'm
fish.
looking for the red one. I'm not.
Both of them
interested
are
in
very nice.
I know, but I like the red ones much
I'm
better.
looking for both. The problem is that the shipping from Washington is like $70, and we hate spending $150 on fish and $70 on freight.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if you ship them to these guys for free, we'll make sure that your name of your company
Will be known from
That's
everyone.
right. That's right. So
No, because they're gorgeous fish. They do well in these kind of tanks. The problem is they only come from Peru, and they only come in a very short period of time because not that many people that we
Right.
know of are breeding them.
Yeah, it's not a very common fish.
okay.
But it's one of the
So-
most beautiful of the pencil
I mean,
fish.
most of the fish in here, really, when I set up this tank, I set it up as a Asian fish biotope. So all the fish here were Asian fish, mostly from the region of Burma and East India. And then I saw these coral pencil fish that come from South America. And I liked them so much. I said, you know what? Forget this.
Back with the theme.
Forget this team. I'm getting these fish.
Right. Right. Okay.
So they kind of messed up my team.
So how are they going to contact you guys to let you know that they're going to get you these?
They can get us on Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay, Facebook.
My email's easy to find.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
mine is as well.
So
So
we'll say Facebook. It's easier.
yeah,
Okay, good deal.
If they can't find me, they're doing something wrong.
yeah,
They don't deserve to be in the business.
That's right.
yeah. The two pencil fish. Keep us in mind.
Good deal. Okay, and it sounds like a good place to wrap it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other one is.
And teach me about shrimp. Teach me how to keep shrimp alive in this tank.
Okay.
Yeah, we always are willing to learn. So while we're trying to help everyone, if you
Yes.
could teach us better, we'd be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. Why don't my shrimp live?
Yeah, the other pencil fish is Nanostomus rubricordatus, or
I don't know.
yeah, it's the red pencil fish.
Okay.
Yeah, they both have different names, but those are the two odd pencil fish. They look fairly similar.
Yeah, I put a dozen of them in here. I like them so much. In a good mix of males and females. The males really have the bright colors.
Okay.
The females, they're a little drabber than the males. And the males, when they're courting, I mean, that color of red is so intense.
Oh, I mean, it looks
So you
intense
stand
from
up the
here.
stairs and you can see that.
Yeah.
Right, right.
No, I've been here
Yeah.
when they've been in spawning mode, and they're as nice as any saltwater fish.
Yeah.
Particularly when they're off with the green.
Yeah.
So I've got one question I just thought of before we wrap it up. You guys were both at Reefapalooza, and this year at Reefapalooza they actually had a freshwater section or a planted section, I guess with Dustin's reef tank or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
How did that go? What was the takeaway there?
I didn't really pay too much attention to it, to be honest, only because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to even see every single booth at Reefapalooza.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was so much this year. I mean, it
There
was bigger
a
than
lot
last
going
year.
on. And this was my first time to a Reefapalooza, and I was pretty impressed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I went by their booth. They had nice plants. They had nice setup. I liked the concept because, as I said, SanJay and I both have plant tanks. Julian has a plant tank. Jason Fox has a plant tank. Joe Caparata has a plant tank. All these reef people now have plant tanks.
Right.
Because actually, after you do reefs, this is fairly easy. The technology is not that far beyond what we do. And we also all have bunches of crap sitting around that we can do these tanks fairly inexpensively.
I mean, I had a planter tank before I did my reef tank.
right. Sure.
So I always had one in the past, and then it got to the point where the planter tank was more work than my reef tank, and I took it down.
Right.
But I now learned the secret.
Right.
have
Don't
slow-growing
fight it.
plants.
Yeah.
Slow-growing
Slow-growing
plants.
plants.
There's no need to grow these plants that fast,
Right.
you know.
Unless they're $15 a stem, then it might be worthwhile. But
Then it might be worthwhile, but then they wouldn't be
Yeah.
$15 a stem if they grew that fast.
Right. Right.
Right. I mean, the only thing I would like to get a little more, some more red plants in here that would stay slow growing.
yeah,
But they're a little hard
with
to
that.
find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one that kind of works.
See, I like that. I mean, I like the tonnage of green, whatever that. I mean, since it's different colors, different.
Yeah, and
shades,
there's different tones of green in
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah,
It's not
all the
just
same.
one green.
It's not monochromatic.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got bright green, you got the different kind of green. You know, you
No,
got
it does have different
green
textures, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. To me, I don't miss the reds, but you can
Yeah,
see
you gotta
how it
have
does
one
pop.
red plant.
Yeah.
He has one red plant. I mean, if you look at all the books on how to
Right.
aquascape a tank, they all say even no matter how much green you have, you gotta have one red plant that stands out. Maybe he has it right in the front, so it does stand out.
Yeah, this is the only one that I have to make sure I keep trimming at a more regular basis.
Yeah, I had to move mine to the back
because
It's
these
got out of
leaves
control.
will quickly reach to the top.
Will you say quickly again? Say it like from there to the
I
top.
mean, from there to the top, these leaves within a month will be up here,
Okay.
or less than a month even sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you keep trimming the leaves that reach the top,
Mhm.
the plant tends to stay short.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why you see that, you know, I recently trimmed it, but the leaves were reaching up to here, and I cut all those leaves off, and you see it stays low now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good. So, on that note,
On that note, if you're tired of your reef or you need something to help you relax, this is the ticket. SanJay's methodology.
is. No,
Simple
It's
reef.
not my methodology.
That's his methodology.
I'm using other people's expertise. There's enough knowledge of planet tanks out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we're
And I
we're
pick-
novices in the planet tank field. We admit that.
I picked the methodology that I figured would give me the least amount of headache.
And I like that concept. Don't
Yeah.
fight it.
No.
Right.
I've learned that from keeping reef tanks.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting it.
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Good deal.
Just to save, just because I want to keep one kind of plant and be fighting the water quality, measuring, doing everything, then it's just as bad as a
Yeah,
reef
takes
tank.
the fun out of it.
Yeah, it does.